Welcome back to the TX conference. I hope you enjoyed your break. First, before we start with the next speaker here on the Verdino stage, I kindly ask you to ask your questions in the chat if you're hopped in on the right. I hope there are a lot of questions still coming in today. But next up, I want to introduce to you Thomas Gresch, who will talk about singing while working. And I don't know if he will really sing, but we'll find out in a minute.
I think it's a great privilege to be able to have fun while working. Me, I'm an engineer. If I'm allowed to build a machine while I'm working, then I'm having fun. If I'm having fun at work, this feels to me a little bit like singing while working. In the couple of next minutes, I would like to share with you some insights that I got during development of products. All my life, I have been developing products, and I love it. I absolutely love developing products, developing machines, and I think I learned a couple of lessons that way, and the outcome of these I would like to share with you. But first of all, thanks a lot for being invited to this conference. It's a great organized conference, I think, and I hope you're enjoying it, being at home, watching it. If you're developing a product and you don't have nightmares about your product failing, I think you haven't pushed your skills far enough. Having nightmares over your product failing is, I think, what drives great product management forward. So, and when I speak nightmares, it's like this kind of nightmares, like when you're having a talk and there is no audience. I mean, you get the concept. But I think just loving products isn't enough. It's about building products, which is something completely different than loving products. It's like reading and writing. Just because I love reading Dostoevsky novels doesn't make me a great writer, as you can see. Or it's like listening and singing, on the other hand. It's like just me listening to Nirvana doesn't make me a great performer like Kurt Cobain was. So, but now let's first get to the main story of this talk. I will talk about a product development process that I did a couple of years ago for the Nationaler Zukunftstag. Harry Fuchs accidentally talked over this one too, over lunch. Some of you might have heard him talking about it. But we had the kids coming in for the National Zukunftstag, and the kids are on the Nationaler Zukunftstag visiting their parents at work. They see how they work, they breathe the air of the working place, they see how their parents behave, what their job actually is, and that's a great opportunity to also inspire kids, to show them what you love about your job. As I said, I love engineering, so it was kind of easy. We wanted to inspire the kids about engineering, to teach them how great it is to be an engineer. But why are engineers cool? Well, that's easy. Because we're God. We create machines, we create automata, we create things that work by themselves. We are creators, we are God. It's beautiful machines that we are nowadays able to build. That's a picture of a movie the Turing machine that is working for the first time in this very movie. So, but how to build a machine with kids in 3 hours? I mean, that's gonna fail. You know, no chance that you're gonna succeed on that. So we could 3D print something with the kids. Or we could write some code, you know, code, execute it, then it runs, great. Or we could tinker something, we could get some electronics hardware, we could solder it, we could build it together. Great idea, great fun. Or we could paint something. Kids love painting, you know. Oh, you know, there's the sun, there's the sea. Or we could do everything. We could build a robot that is painting, that is automatically painting things. Yeah, what a great idea. With 4 weeks to go to the Zukunftstag, we want to build a robot that is painting by itself. So that's me after I decided to go for this project. But it's easy, you know. I'm a manager, you know, so, you know, I use the power of management to get this job done. It's gonna be totally easy. Just delegate, you know, you do this, you do that. Everybody stand together, 4 weeks to go, hop, hop, hop. Super easy, done. So we ordered some chassis in China for our robot because some people already built it, and we waited for them to arrive, and it was 1 week to go until the Nationale Zukunftstag. If the robots were food, that's about what they looked like. They were utter trash. They were absolutely unprecise. If I would draw a circle, it would be a spiral. If I would draw a rectangle, it would be a hexagon. You know, you get the drift. So, back to square one. And my best engineers were either sick, on holidays, or on the very most important project of the whole year. So I was all alone. 1 week to go, 60 kids that want to be entertained. I made a promise, so I had to start working. So get the stepper motors out of the basement, get the 3D printer up and running, get some electronics together, assemble the whole robot, do the design of the robot. And yeah, I mean, I'm by now quite an experienced engineer, hardware, software, electronics. So I could also develop the firmware of the robot, and I could shop the materials that I required. And we had a painting robot, and it's 3 days to go. That was the first prototype. So how the robot actually works is there's a little round hole in the center, and there you could put a pen in, and then the robot can drive on a paper and like this draw simple geometries. So what does it do? It paints. And we wrote it in Swiss German, so the robot you see at the bottom line, line 14, Linkskurve malen, 180 means the robot draws a curve to the left and then stops. And Rechtskurve malen would be the other way around. I'm not going to step off the stage right now, but you get the concept. And like this, we could pose some challenges to the kids, because that was only the robot. That wasn't what we're going to do on the Zukunftstag. So, kids love challenges. So we asked them, paint a circle with the robot. We asked them, paint 6 circles by 60 degrees turned with the robot. Draw a spiral, so they learned the for loops properly. And we had many other forms that they could learn how to build and draw. We even had a team building a Tamedia logo, because it was back then the Tamedia logo for the group. And we had to build 20 more robots and 3 more days to go. And then a lot of people started to help because they signed up as helpers. It was a great experiment to get together of all the teams, of all the companies of TX Group. And we had a building session together where we would solder and put the parts together and flash the firmware. And we had 20 robots up and running. On top, we of course had to also train the trainers because one person couldn't teach 60 kids how to program. And then the big day came, and it was in this very room where we had all these kids here, the robots, teaching them, learning to program, drawing the structures that were here back on the wall. And then one coach for 4 kids, getting it together, and all of this in here, beautiful room, all great. And we had a lot of trying and failing and debugging and succeeding. So, success. It all worked out great. The kids had a fantastic day, and some of them really got inspired to be engineers or to see what it is to be an engineer at least. So success metrics, inspired and happy kids, inspired and happy parents, cross-company networking because the people working together had a lot of fun too. We had extremely low hardware cost. One of these bots is about 12 francs to produce. And we had a repeatable system that has been reused on the Zukunftstag ever since. Now, I wasn't allowed to talk about this when I was still working for the TX Group, but now that I can't get fired anymore, it was extremely expensive, the project. I mean, I spent probably 2 weeks alone on the projects, all the helpers there. So we're not going to talk about cost here, but these success metrics, we utterly failed. So why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this story because I think it has a lot of things in it that come up in every product development process. It's not a linear process that you're facing. Sometimes there's 3 weeks, nothing happening, and then all of a sudden the breakthroughs are coming in and it's working out and it starts to feel great. So, 10 advices that I want to give you for product development. First, only compromise on quality when it doesn't impact your final product. You can always take shortcuts. You can always do stuff in the middle that is just for construction. But when it comes to the end product, about what's the experience, what's the robot, how good is it, then never compromise. We could have gone for the Chinese robots, but it would have been an utter disaster. Like this, we had really precise robots, and the kids could really learn what it takes to use them. Second, don't give up. Learn to trust your instincts when you have to go on and when you have to take a step back. That's the hardest bit about product development, because nobody will tell you that you're on the right track or that you're on the wrong track. Sometimes you have to pull through because you're so close from succeeding, but you don't see it. There's a bug in it, there's something not working, you're gonna fail. But then sometimes you really have to take a step back and realize, no, this system will not work. I have to go another route. And this, I think, is either luck or experience where you get this. But look for this. Always ask yourself the question, do I have to pull through or do I have to take a step back? 3, dare to wait. Don't always rush. Sometimes an idea really needs some days of sleeping. Sometimes it really needs to think, is there a simpler way? Is there a more easy way to do things? So dare to wait, Mut zur Pause, we say in German. Don't try to rush things in product development. Sometimes the really good ideas only come over time. 4, great singing needs training. Why shouldn't great product development require training? Train always. Fix stuff at your home. Go tinker in your cellar. Try to fix a neighbor's lamp. Try to build a shelf. Try to build an app for yourself. Play with it. Always try and train, because that's the skills you need for problem solving that you're always going to face when you develop products. Go and train. There is no great product manager that hasn't trained a long time. And 5, know when your product is done. Know when to stop. It's always hard because you could always go the extra mile and it could get 10% better. But because I take this advice very serious, I'm gonna stop this talk right now after only 5 of the 10 points. Because I think this is the most important sentence that I ever heard when it comes to product management. In every product management comes the time where you have to shoot the engineer and release the product. And with this, I would like to ask you, keep singing, have a lot of fun developing products, get better at it, and impress me with the outcome of your product. Thanks a lot for having me at the TX Conference 2020, and I wish you all the best. Bye. Wow, 3 people in the audience. Awesome.
Yes, what you don't see when you're watching the stream, there are really just a handful of people here. So Thomas was talking to a basically empty Verdino, which is challenging. But I think what's not that challenging, or you made it sound quite easy, was how to build these robots for the kids, how to build up this yourself within these 2 weeks. But nevertheless, you managed to do it. And I got a lot of comments actually saying how nice this was. People that still remember actually having their kids here, having fun with the robots. So a lot of clapping and so on in the chat right now. Congratulations to you there. My only question, since there was no other questions yet in the chat, is what's the last thing you've built at home now?
I taught myself generative 3D CAD. So it's a CAD system where you don't draw an object, but you generate it through an algorithm. So I created a lamp that exists out of really complicated shapes that are based on an algorithm and not based on you actually building the lamp. And that was a topic that fascinated me since a long time, and finally I got now the time to teach myself something like that.
Wow, not bad, not bad. That sounds really interesting. So I think if you in the chat want to learn more about this, Thomas will be happy to share his sources for this. Thanks a lot for your time, and see you later in the next talk.